Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Susie Jones, and I am the Special Programs Coordinator for Stanford Summer Session, and I help coordinate the Veteran Accelerator program. I'll let my colleague introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Moore, Associate Director for Program Development and Marketing here at Stanford Summer Session, and I'm really the technical assistant for this particular webinar, but I help Susie with the VET program throughout the summer, and I'll be here to help answer some of your questions and talk to you about the online process that we're going through right now. So.
Yeah, we're really excited that you're here, and we hope this is really helpful. We will give access to this webinar after, so if you need to leave early or if you want to share it with friends or family, colleagues, all of that, then this webinar will be available to you. So before we jump into the presentation, I will start by asking you a few questions, and Jimmy will be explaining how to use Zoom. And then we'll spend the rest of the time talking about details of the program, like academics and student life, and then we'll finish up talking about the application process so we can go through details of that.
Great. So Zoom is the program that we're using right now to show you this presentation and to broadcast to you all around the country and the world. It has lots of features. So if you have a question, we want you to use the Q&A function right down here at the bottom. We noticed people have already begun to chat, and you can use the chat all you like to chat with each other, but the chat function is best just to kind of chat amongst yourselves. Just use the Q&A if you have a specific question, and we'll either answer that live here on the webinar or I'll type a response to you. Feel free to ask questions anytime throughout the presentation, or also at the end where we will be answering questions in a dedicated part of the presentation. So if you have questions that are related to your personal application or your circumstance or something that's a little bit more detailed or personal, feel free to email us at the contact information here, summersession@stanford.edu. And that's my part.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and jump into some questions that we have for you. Jimmy is going to turn off the video so you won't be able to see our faces any longer. Yep. But we'll come back towards the end of the presentation. But good? Okay, but we will start by asking you just a few questions here.
Here is the first one. All right, how did you hear about the Veteran Accelerator program? Please go ahead and answer here in the poll, and we'll give you about 20 seconds. A lot of our veterans find out about us from their school's Veteran Resource Center, Fellow Vet, some of our partner organizations like Mission Continues. So take a moment there, and once we see all the votes are in, we'll wrap that up. About 10 more seconds. All right. So let's take a look at the results.
Okay, so it looks like we're really spread out amongst the group. So some of you found out just from searching on the Stanford website, and then a few found out about the program through their resource center, which is great. Service to School is an organization we partner with, and they help us get the word out about the program. So that makes sense. And then we always rely on other veterans to help spread the word also, and it looks like some of you have found out that way. So thank you for sharing. We have one more question for you. We would like to know what branch of the military you were in, or maybe you're currently in the military. Please go ahead and answer.
Some of these we know overlap, but we want you to choose the one that you most identify with. About 10 more seconds. All right.
All right, thank you for your responses. So again, we have some folks from a lot of different areas.
Air Force and Army represent.
Yes, all right, Air Force and Army, way to go. I will say that every summer we have someone represented from Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, and Navy, and we are welcome to all of these branches, and we hope that that there's a fellow Air Force or fellow Army man in the program with you. But yeah, we always have all the branches represented, and that's really wonderful, and we get a breadth of experiences that way. So before we jump into the Veteran Accelerator program, I want to first just talk a little bit about Stanford Summer Session as a whole. So Stanford Summer Session brings in about 1,400 undergraduate, graduate, and high school visiting students to campus to live on campus, take classes on campus, and enjoy all the experiences and activities that we provide. And the Veteran Accelerator program is part of that larger cohort of about 1,400 students. So students in the Veteran Accelerator program are not the only visiting students. We have lots of visiting students that come to campus. Summer Session is a great opportunity to connect with other students from across the United States and across the world. We have a lot of international students who come to our program. And Summer Session has a unique way of combining difficult and challenging academics and a lot of social and cultural opportunities too. And students really leave Summer Session feeling like they have had a life-changing experience. And that's a really common response that we get. And so I think we offer something really, really unique at Stanford. Summer Session is Stanford's official fourth academic quarter. And so Stanford students that attend Stanford during the school year are also taking classes. And so students in the Veteran Accelerator program will also have classes with other current Stanford students. Summer Session runs from Saturday, June 23rd, that's move-in,
Even at Stanford, sometimes the internet goes out or blips, so we're back at it.
Okay, cool. All right. I hope everyone can hear me. You can use the Q&A function if you're having problems hearing. So the Stanford program runs June 23rd through August 19th, and you'll be taking courses and you'll leave Stanford with a Stanford transcript. So if you are planning to apply to other institutions and you want to provide your Stanford transcript, you will have an official transcript with your name on it. So that's enough about Stanford Summer Session as a whole. We'll jump into the Stanford Veteran Accelerator program specifically. The Veteran Accelerator program is a full scholarship program where veterans live on campus, take Stanford courses, and participate in a wide variety of events that support your academic, professional, and personal growth. We know you've gained so many skills and experience in the military, and this program is meant to help build upon those skills. And we host a lot of different workshops and activities throughout the summer, which I'll talk a little bit more in depth about a little bit further in the presentation. I think Natalie Vega, who was a participant in the program in the past, says it best. She said, "This program lights a fire in veterans who have been wandering the civilian world without a compass or a map. This program gives veterans a map and a compass, hope for the future, and the push they need to pursue their dreams. We are capable, we are inspired, and we are definitely not lost anymore." This is a great quote, and it really encapsulates what we hope to accomplish. And this feeling really resonates with a lot of our other students who've been through the Veteran Accelerator program who think that this program has really been life-changing for them. So I'm going to jump into a few of the details that you might really be wondering about. So this is the part where we're getting into a little bit of the nitty-gritty stuff. So the Veteran Accelerator program is anywhere from 12 to 15 students, so it's a pretty small cohort. And you might be wondering what costs are covered. So we cover the cost of tuition and fees, as well as course fees. If your course that you take has a fee, we cover that. We also cover you'll get 19 meals per week as a part of your housing plan. And we also provide Stanford housing where you'll live on campus. And we also give a $400 book stipend. We know that books are expensive, and we hope that that $400 offsets the cost of books. We often get questions about students who are interested in using the GI Bill or vocational rehab during the summer. I will say most students decide not to use their educational benefits during the summer, and that's because we cover the majority of the costs, but we know some students really need to use these benefits during the summer, and so I encourage you to check out our website. We have more information about using the GI Bill and voc rehab during the summer on our website. We also partner closely with the Office of Military Affiliated Communities on campus, and they really help our students in the Veteran Accelerator program process paperwork and decide if using their educational benefits is necessary or really important for the student, or if it's not really necessary. So if you have questions about this, we can address that. But first, look at our website for more information. So now we'll go ahead and move on to academics. And here are a lot more details about the types of classes you'll be taking if you are in the Veteran Accelerator program. So summer session offers approximately 170 courses from 40 different departments. So we have a wide variety of different types of classes, and these meet all of our students' interests and needs. Students in the Veteran Accelerator program are allowed to take a minimum of 2 classes, or have to take a minimum of 2, and a maximum of 3 classes. So we'll jump into what those classes are. The first course that is required for Veteran Accelerator students is PWR 6 VT, which is there on the slide. And this is a power writing course. It's really meant for to build on students' first year writing skills. It's a difficult course. It's meant to push students. And if you've already taken writing before, don't you worry. This will push you even further to become a better writer, which we know is really, really important for your future schooling. Students will also be required to take a second academic course of their choosing. So this is where you get to pick the course that you find really interesting. And we'll talk a little bit about what that academic course could be in just a second. Then you have an optional course to take, which is a physical education course. These are generally 1-unit PE type classes from, swimming and tennis. I think some students took golf last year. And these are just fun courses that the students are allowed to take. And it's not required, but if it's something that you want to take advantage of, then you are definitely able to do that. Our 2017 courses are currently listed on the website there. That's on this slide, summer.stanford.edu/courses. We will be updating the courses for 2018 in February. So be checking in February for our new courses for this coming summer. However, if you want to look just to browse to see what we've offered last summer, please check out these course listings, and that will give you more information. So now on to advising. All of the students who are admitted to Veteran Accelerator will be required to attend a pre-summer advising appointment, and that'll be with myself and my colleague Nicole, and we will help you pick that second academic course of your choosing. And we'll talk to you about what might best fit your schedule, your interests, your needs. We encourage students to pick a second academic course that stretches them, that might not be in their major, but it's maybe in an area of interest that you have. Or it expands upon something that you've already learned, or it's a course that you wouldn't get at your home institution. This is your opportunity to take advantage of a Stanford course. We also have the Summer Academic Resource Center, or we shorten it to SARC, and SARC houses academic advisors and tutors for all of our summer session students, and the academic advisors advise on course options, grading options, academic policies and procedures, and all of that stuff. So they're going to be the experts on Stanford academic policies. And then we have tutors, and we have tutors who will cover all of these different subject areas, and they do a lot of workshops on study skills in certain areas also. So our veterans report using SARC, and that it's really, really helpful to improve their writing and to help them in their academic areas. So we encourage all of our students to attend SARC because it's a really, really awesome resource for our students. So a Veteran Accelerator student really, I think, says it best when he said, I've changed a lot. I'm a better writer now that I have completed the PWR 6 VT course. I'm also familiar with financial, legal, and design aspects of starting a new venture and owe it to Engineering 145, an amazing course with outstanding instructors. But I wanted to share this because I think it captures how unique our courses are and how talented our instructional staff is. And this student got a lot out of taking that writing course, even though he had already taken college writing before. So we know that there's much more to this experience than just taking classes at Stanford. You'll be immersed in life and culture at Stanford, and you will not be disappointed if you take time to explore campus, get to know students who live in different residence halls from you, and participate in all the different programming that we provide during the summer. So as I mentioned previously, students in Vet Accelerator will participate in different types of events specifically for you. So we've curated programming to really complement and complete your academic experience. So attendance at a lot of these events are required, but don't worry, these events are really fun and they're super, super valuable. So you won't want to miss them anyways. Each year our programming looks a little bit different because we constantly try to improve the experience for our students. But in the past, we've had professional development sessions at Google and LinkedIn headquarters. Last summer, we took a tour to the Particle Accelerator that's right off of campus. And we had a time management workshop that was hosted by the Summer Academic Resource Center. So we try to touch on all different areas. And here's a picture of the group from last summer. We had Service to School on campus, and Service to School brought Princeton, Yale, Emory, Stanford, and Williams universities. They brought admissions representatives from those schools to come talk to our students about how to transfer to those institutions. So this is just another example of one of our events and how we try to connect our veterans in our program to other veteran organizations. Aside from Veteran Accelerator specific events, you'll also have residential programming that's available to you. So you will be living together in the residence halls. So you'll live with other veterans in the program, and then you will also live amongst all the other visiting summer session students. And there's a lot of residential programming that happens. There's themed events, they plan study sessions, movie nights, ice cream socials, all of that stuff, you name it, they offer it. And this is where a lot of students make their favorite memories, are on these different residential programs that we have. We also have weekend excursions, and this is an opportunity to get off campus and explore the Bay Area, which is beautiful and gorgeous, and we totally recommend taking advantage of these opportunities. So we have, for example, taken students to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk and the San Jose Earthquakes game, amongst other opportunities. And so I guarantee that if you come to summer session, that it'll just make your experience more memorable if you take advantage of a lot of these different activities. So we've been through a lot, and those are a lot of the detail and programmatic information that we want you to know. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the application. The application is live, and so we want to make sure that we cover this and make sure we address any questions related to the application. So we'll go ahead and start with eligibility requirements. So make sure that you understand these minimum eligibility requirements. If you don't meet these, then maybe this isn't the appropriate summer for you, but maybe a future summer is. So students had to have graduated from high school or secondary school or equivalent. Students must not have graduated with a bachelor's degree yet. We do want students to have completed 9 units of college level courses prior to applying. So any military courses or anything on your joint service transcript is not included in those 9 units. And then some international students may have to prove English proficiency. And if you have specific questions about that, like I said, you can email summer session also. Additional notes, you are expected to be on campus for the duration of the program. And that's an 8-week program. So if you foresee any conflict with that, please just let us know.
Yeah, actually, somebody has asked a question about that. We have in the past had veterans who are married and or have children, and they have, since this program is an immersive full-time program, everyone has come and they do come and live on campus, and either family stays behind in the primary residence with the other spouse, or in 1 year the family came and stayed nearby. But yeah, we do not have family housing, unfortunately, for the veterans in the program, but it can be a challenge, but not necessarily a full barrier. But we do require the full-time on-campus experience, as it's part of the it's kind of an integral part of the educational experience.
Yep. Thank you for that question. Another note is that I just want to remind everyone we're not Stanford University undergraduate and transfer admissions. This program isn't meant to kind of be a transition program into Stanford. We totally recognize that some of you may want to attend Stanford as a full-time student, and we totally encourage you to apply, but just want to let you know it's not a transition program into Stanford as a full-time student.
We have had people every year end up in top tier universities like Stanford, as well as Stanford, actually. So we definitely have had some great students come through, but someone just asked about the influence on the admissions decision into Stanford undergrad. It can't hurt you unless you do poorly, right? If you've come here and taken Stanford classes and gotten great grades at Stanford, that certainly can't hurt. It is, but we say it's not a pipeline because we don't want to give anybody the idea that we are just transferring students. The Stanford transfer admissions rate is very very minimal. Only less than 100 students a year transfer into Stanford because it's primarily a 4-year experience or graduate experience. But every year we've had at least one person from our program end up here at Stanford. So
yep. So I would say if you're considering wanting to apply to Stanford as a transfer student, you absolutely should, because I think if you prove yourself in this program, like Jimmy said, it can't hurt your application. And what it does do is it proves that you can handle difficult coursework. And that is something that might set you apart from another student who didn't take courses at a high achieving academic institution. So it can't hurt. It proves something about your status as a student, but it's not going to be something that is a shoe-in to getting into Stanford.
Right. And also for everyone who's not thinking about coming to Stanford one day, know that this program isn't designed just to teach you how to get into a 4-year institution like Stanford or Yale or Harvard. Most of our students are in 4-year programs all around the country at every level, from a public state institution to elite private institutions. So it really depends on the path that you want to set yourself on, and we help you focus that a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And before we move on, I do want to circle back a little bit. I want everyone to know that we don't require your high school transcripts. And a lot of students ask about that. Your high school transcripts don't matter to us. You don't need to submit those. We really care about your most recent coursework. And so I'll talk a little bit about the components of the application here soon. We're also looking for students who are earlier on in their academic career. So students who are generally in their first 2 years of study. This program really is targeting those students that are just earlier on. So to prepare your application, I would definitely suggest starting now, just because there are several components, and you also need to get a letter of recommendation. So a major part of the application are the personal essays. So you'll have 5 personal essays that you need to respond to. Make sure that you read the directions fully in the application, because I know some students have started the application and wrote their essays, and then the application timed out on them and they lost all of their essay responses. So write your essays in a Word doc. This is just a little tip. Write it in a Word doc and save it, and then copy and paste it into the application when you're ready. You'll also need to request a letter of recommendation from a college instructor or academic advisor, or a veteran advisor at your school's resource center. And And your letter writer will be required to address specific questions. It's not really a generic letter. So what you'll want to do is once that person is made aware that you want them to be their letter writer, then you can submit their information in the application, and that will prompt the letter writer to respond. So they will get all the information that they need once you submit their email within the application. You will also need to submit your 3 most recent transcripts. If you have only one, that's totally fine. Just upload one. If you have more than 3, just submit, please, your most recent unofficial transcripts. There will also be a $30 application fee that will come in at the end, and you will need to be able to get that letter of recommendation in prior to submitting your application. So this is something that a lot of students have had questions about. So you can complete the entire application, but if your letter writer has not submitted your letter, then your application is not considered complete until they do that. So I recommend completing as much of the application as possible, and then making sure your letter writer knows when the deadline is. And then once your letter writer submits that letter of recommendation, you can go into the application and submit and pay the application fee. So just give yourself a little bit of time to do that. And we'll cover the timeline next, actually. So.
Yep, I see someone's getting ready to leave. They wanted to know where the application was. You can take a look through our website, summer.stanford.edu, and look at the apply page about how to apply, and it will give you directions to the proper link.
So applications are due March 1st, so you have a little bit longer than a month from now to secure everything that you need to and submit your application. We will make decisions on decisions will be released to you March 29th. And then students who are admitted will have about 2 weeks to confirm that they are in the program. You'll be reminded of all of these dates, but here they are for you at least to see. So students who are admitted, you will know that you're coming to Stanford by April 12th. And then finally, we have our contact information here. So you can feel free to give us a call. Again, you can email us, and we have a great team who can help address your questions. And you can also find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page that we update and remind you of deadlines too. So feel free to find us there. And that ends our presentation. So this is a good time to address any questions that you have, and we can, jump around in the presentation. We can go to the website. So if you have specific questions, please address those now.
Great. Blake, I think this is the slide that you wanted, the application information. So you can write that down. And Ricky asked, just to be clear, the requirements to have 9 units of college level courses completed prior to applying, not prior to attending the program. So if my first quarter doesn't conclude till March 30th, that would mean my best bet is next summer. Right, so we have to have an academic record to look at before we can consider your application. So if you're not gonna have any grades available for us to take a look at prior to the deadline of March 1st, then next summer would be your best consideration. And it says back to the contact info.
Absolutely.
You got it. All right. Here you are, and feel free to speak to anyone on our team. It's important to know that you don't have to talk to us. In fact, it's better that you don't talk to us because we're part of the admissions process, and so we try not to engage directly with the veterans prior to the admissions process. So it's more, you're better off talking to our staff who are answering the phone and the email, and they have the best information. So they'll take real good care of you. Let's see, it says, if I already have an AS, am I too far in my education to apply for this program?
No, so if you have an associate's degree already, that's totally fine, because that's usually around 60 units. It kind of depends. I know students, it could take longer than 60 units or 90 units if you're on quarters to earn an associate's. So that is much different than a bachelor's degree. So I think you're still eligible. I think you should still apply. if you've earned more like 100, 120 units, something like that, I think that it's still an opportunity for you to apply, because you just never know. But the program is, I think it's about thinking about if the program is right for you then, because it really is targeting students who are just earlier on and don't have that college experience yet.
Someone asked, we had students in the reserve components attend. I know there are weekend excursions which monthly weekend drills would interfere with. What has been the experience of students in reserve components if they've attended, and if being reserve components is considered a conflict for that member acceptance?
Sure, yeah. So we have not had someone in the reserves in the program, to my knowledge, not within the last 2 years anyways. So I think with that, I think that the weekend excursions, those are not mandatory. Are weekend excursions that the residence staff plans. What is mandatory are our veteran programs, and some of those do happen on weekends. A lot happen on Fridays and throughout the week. So I think that does not exclude you from being admitted, but I think that would be a situation where you would want to be in contact with our summer session staff via email to say, this is about how often I might be off campus for, and then should you be admitted, you'd want to work with myself to work out details. But no, it does not exclude you from being admitted. We do understand that you have other obligations. We just want to make sure that you're getting the most out of the program.
Will the schedule for programming be available at some point?
It will. It likely won't be available though for a little bit. I would say we wrap up a lot of our scheduling in April. So it will definitely be available to confirmed students. If you would like to know though ahead of time, then ahead of April, then I suggest that you email, and we can do our best to let you know what next summer is going to be looking like. To be honest with you right now is when we're doing a lot of our planning and nailing down a lot of our partners that we're going to work with and collaborate with during the summer. So I can't tell you right now when things are going to be happening, but I can give you a general idea of when things have happened in the past. So if you'd rather know now, then like I said, send an email and we can do our best to craft something that will be representative of what the summer will look like.
And thank you, Xavier, for the compliment. If you need anything, let us know. Jimmy Felix, what kind of classes or academic activities we'll be doing in the program? Jimmy, hang tight. We'll come back to that in just a moment. We covered that, and I know that you said you came in a little bit late, so we'll come back to that in just a moment. Xavier, will you be flexible with veterans medical care at the VA? As a disabled veteran, I do have care, but nothing would dominate my time at summer session.
Yeah, sure. So this is, if you would like to transfer care to the Palo Alto VA, totally do that. The Office of Military Affiliated Communities is probably who you'd also want to work with because they just have a lot of connections with the Palo Alto VA and other military affiliated organizations in the community. We also offer our own health insurance. So you can be on our health insurance or you can be on your own health insurance. But you are able to access Palo Alto, the Palo Alto VA. We also work with all of our students. So if there are any accommodations that you might need, we will work with any student to make sure that those needs are accommodated.
Great. And Ariel, I see you have some more questions about living on the weekends and commuting and that kind of thing, and that's great. What I'd love for you to do, since this is a kind of like a one-on-one issue, go ahead and email us. And we can talk about that, because one thing we do want is we want this program to be flexible and meet the needs of the students who are in it. So, with specific cases like that, let's go ahead and let's talk one-on-one. So feel free to send us an email to the email on the screen, and we'll go with that. Are the credits earned transferable?
Great question. So we cannot guarantee transferability. However, what our credits might transfer. So what we definitely recommend is that you connect with your home institution or any institutions you're considering applying to see how these credits might fit in to your degree program at that school. But we do kind of rely on you to find that out from your home institutions, just because your home institutions, or those that you want to transfer to, those are the places that are going to determine how these courses transfer. And just let me tell you from experience, they will transfer all different kinds of ways based on the institution. And it is a case-by-case basis. So you just have to do your homework. That's just what's going to be required to see how the courses will transfer.
Yeah, all of our credits are fully accredited university credits. They will transfer as something. Just what will they transfer at that institution is really up to them. So, great, you can see. Let's see. Okay, Xavier, just go ahead and leave the, if you want to have a question, put that in there, please, if you don't. All right, so what about past current GPA, asked Justin.
Yeah, so Justin, you might be asking about maybe the GPAs that students that are applicants have. We are looking for strong GPAs, and that is because we're looking for students that have proven that they are academically prepared to come to Stanford. But we look at the transcript in full. So we're looking at the courses you're taking, what you're getting in those classes, what your course load was like. So we are looking for students with strong GPAs. However, we look at each application holistically as not just about GPA. We're looking at that letter of recommendation. We're looking at your personal essays and seeing how you would fit into our program. There's not like a perfect formula for how to get into our program. But strong academics is definitely very important because if a student hasn't proven that they could be successful in our classes, then it's just not a good fit for our program.
But also, think about the fact that a lot of our veterans have a variety of stories of kind of where they've come from. So if we're comparing a current GPA to a past GPA, the current one's going to be more important to us. We recognize that people have a variety of reasons why grades may be what they are. So we definitely take that into consideration, as we've said. So don't let that stop you from applying.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely have had students in the program who started their college career not very strong for whatever reason. And their recent coursework proves that they've totally turned it around and they were admitted to the program. So like Jimmy said, don't let that hinder you from applying.
And Jimmy, you can take a look here at Jimmy Felix, who asked before about academics and the courses. There's a required PWR Veterans class, which is a writing course. A second academic course of your choosing that will be decided with your academic advisor. And then a PE course if you'd like to take golf or yoga or something like that, you can do that. Take a look at the course's website there for more information on what's offered. And feel free also to take a look back at the recording of this webinar where we talked about that in a little bit more detail earlier. Is the 12 to 15 student number capped, or is there an outlook of increasing students into the program? What are the parameters that will impact admission to the session? Can you touch on the apply admittance enrollment ratios?
That's a good question. So we will be capping it at 15, and there's a lot of reason for that. We like to keep it as a small cohort of students who get to know each other really well that way. All the students take this PWR 6 class, and that has enrollment caps on it. And we house you all together too, and so there are restrictions there. So there's a variety of reasons why we keep it to 15 students.
We also, this is not one of those programs where we're receiving government grants or other government funding to put on the program. We fund this fully out of the pockets of the summer session office as a contribution to our community, as one of our access programs that really increases the likelihood that people have exposure to a university like Stanford. So obviously cost is also a concern. The overall cost of what we cover is over $15,000 per student. So that's part of the limit as well. And if we can get them to increase the budget, we'll think about that as well. Yes. For sure.
Yes, we would love to expand it if we could. As far as what would impact admissions, so like I said, we're looking at your personal essays. We want them to be strong with a compelling story and well-written essays. We're looking for strong academics, again, looking for students who don't have as many units earned from college. That letter of recommendation, we're looking for a strong letter of recommendation as why do you think you're a good fit for this Stanford program? Why do you need this Stanford program? Those are the sorts of things we're looking for. So I think if you can plead your case through your essays and through your letter of recommendation, that probably gives you the best shot. But we're considering everything, and we're considering the cohort as a whole too, and how everyone fits in. So we're looking, like I said, we want students from all the military branches also. So we consider a lot of things when we're making our decision. As far as the applied admissions enrollment ratios, so I guess I can give you some perspective. So last year, I can use last year's numbers, we had 90 students complete the application, and about 15 were admitted. So that gives you some perspective. Last year was pretty competitive. It could totally change. It just depends on how many students apply. And then, all of those students decided to come to summer session and attend. So usually once the students get in, they typically stay and decide to enroll in classes. I would say those numbers are different from our larger summer session population, where we have thousands of students applying, especially our high school population, lots and lots of applications. I don't exactly know our enrollment ratios there, but
yeah, thousands apply, hundreds are admitted. Yep. So your ratio is actually pretty strong.
There is the opportunity, I should say, that if you are not admitted to Veteran Accelerator, but you would still like to be considered for summer session as a whole and just attend as an undergraduate student, there is that possibility. Does not come with the full scholarship and all the programming. However, if that's something that interests you still, then you would just want to let us know.
So, Ricky, you mentioned that Foothills on the quarter system, and the finals week happens to be the first week of courses that we have here. That would mean you would miss some chunks of time. We're familiar with that situation, and we help make that happen if a student is admitted and comes here. That doesn't preclude you from the program.
Yeah, that happens almost every year, I think. And usually what students do is they move in, they come to campus, they start their Stanford classes, and they usually have worked something out with their professor at their home school to take their finals or miss class at a different time. So usually they're able to work it out with their professor from their home school. And if they're not, then if your instructors aren't willing to budge on your end, then I would work with you to make sure that we come up with the best solution possible, and that will likely require you to talk with your Stanford faculty and work out accommodations that way. But yeah, please still apply.
And Xavier, you mentioned you live in Napa. Would it be better to be there rather than commute? Yeah, actually the program is residential only, so everybody who's in the program must live on campus in the program, so you won't have to worry about commuting if you're admitted, and all those costs are covered as well. Jimmy, yes, everyone will take one course together, that PWR 6. This one, it's that college level writing course that's actually designed for the veterans, and we have some really great topics that we're looking at right now. You'll get to choose the second academic course from the list of 170 courses on your own, based on your interest, your degree program, that kind of thing. And then if you want to take an additional PE course, you can as well. Let's see, we have Lewis, if you had some difficulty with the audio presentation, we will be publishing the presentation as well as all of this on our website. And we'll be sending you an email with the information as well. What resources will we be encouraged to bring with us if we were accepted into this opportunity?
Sure, any resources. So
your brain, open mind.
Yes, those are both really great resources. You're a fantastic resource. Let me think here. So, students kind of make their dorm situation their own, and you'll get a lot of information if you're accepted about what to pack and what to bring with you. I would say that if you have a personal laptop computer, be really beneficial for you, though you will have access to the computer labs and printing, and you'll have access to the library. So you do have those sorts of academic type resources, but we don't supply like a personal laptop. So, but don't let that hinder you if you don't have a personal laptop, because again, we can work with you to figure something out.
And if you're accepted, you'll be getting an academic advising appointment where we can talk all about this with you in great detail. Mm-hmm. So we're going to focus on the pre-acceptance portion for now. Ooh, the sun went down a little bit. And we'll talk more with you about that in the advising appointment. Mm-hmm. That's the start of homework for class. Thank you, Blake, for that. Appreciate it. Someone said, what's the age range and previous average ages?
That's a good question. So the average age is around 27 or 28. And our ages have ranged from 21, I think has been our youngest, all the way up to 39 has been our oldest, at least in the last 2 years. And so we have a variety of ages, as you can see, I would say, but like I said, the majority are around like 27 to about 31 is the average age.
And regardless of what age you are, we encourage you to apply.
Absolutely.
Ricky, you said, can I apply to both summer session and the Veteran Accelerator program concurrently? No.
No, you cannot. But I would say apply to Veteran Accelerator if that's your number one option. And then if you are denied, or you decide you don't want to, you're admitted, but you decide you just want to do regular summer session, you just let us know and we can flip your application to a general summer session application. There are differences, obviously, in the application, but the general summer session application has fewer components, and you'll have already submitted a lot of the appropriate components. So it's not a huge shift.
Great. What topics, ideas, criteria are the essays? Do you have this published on our website?
I don't, they might be in the slider. I'm not 100% sure.
So let's show you the website for a moment, because this is a good time to show you that, and we can actually check to see if it's actually there. Mm-hmm. So our website is, just a moment. All right, we're going to, oh yeah. All right, so take a look at this, and we're going to look at, this is our website, and up here in admissions, application process, mm-hmm. Kind of give you a slide-by-slide directions on how to apply. So I'm going to go through to get to that portion. Up here you can see veteran essays. Submit 4 personally written essays in English on the topics below. Essays must be no more than 500 words.
Yep.
So we ask you about your military service, leadership, and innovation, the biggest challenge you've had to face as a student, your goals, and then about your military history with rank, years of service, mm-hmm. and that kind of thing. So it's here on our website. Take a look at those, and you can work on those well in advance.
Yep. We also have an additional question about what your future academic plans are, but hopefully that's not, hopefully you've thought about that, or it's a little bit easier to answer. So that question isn't published on here. So you can consider it a 5th essay question, but those are the 4 main ones for you, and you can start addressing those now if you wanted to, before you even start the application.
Someone asked if we could submit only 1 letter of recommendation for the application.
Yep, only 1, please.
Yep. Thanks, Ricky. Please spread the information around. Xavier, I'm not the oldest. Great.
Thank you.
Previous students from foreign militaries, anything different required from them when applying?
Not that I know of.
I don't believe so. The language requirement is a piece. If you are a non-native or from a non-native country, a non-native English-speaking country rather, then you would have to provide English proficiency. But no, I think that should be all right. But feel free to send us an email with details about your situation, and we can look into that for you. Thank you, Ariel. I'm glad. Feel free to prepare, and if you have questions, let us know.
Yes, thank you.
Looking at the website, can you touch upon gender, diversity, ratios, elements, and oddball? Is that Wesley Pritchett with khaki shorts, blue button on far right, second light?
No, let's see.
It was on
it was on, go to programs on that. Yeah. No, no, we don't have, didn't have a Wesley in this picture. So as far as gender diversity, racial elements, etc. So this is part of our admissions process. We want all of our entire admissions committee keeps diversity in the back of their head while they're reviewing applications. You can see that we only had 2 women last summer, and we had 2 women the summer prior, and that's something that we're always trying to improve to get a better gender ratio. But sadly, we just don't have as many female applicants. So tell your female veteran friends, please apply.
Yes. And as you know, I mean, women make up 15% of the veteran population. So we're close in our ratio, but yeah, we definitely would love to see that. Also, we very much do look at other elements of diversity, and whether it be, race, ability, disability, that type of stuff. We look at all of that, and we really try to build a cohort that is complementary to each other, that will be a great full experience for everybody involved. Yeah, so that is, but yeah, so feel free, we're always looking to expand that, and feel free to recommend this program to everyone. Any idea on enlisted and officer ratios?
So I don't believe we have any officers because they will have had a bachelor's degree already. Now, if I'm wrong on that, please just call me out on it. But all of these veterans were enlisted.
All right, let me see. Took care of that one. Done. Great. Thank you. Are you both familiar with the Bay Area Student Veteran Leadership Coalition?
No, I have not heard of that. But
we're about to Google it.
Yep. I learn a lot about the veteran organizations almost daily, about ones that I didn't know before. So yeah, I'll be searching that.
Something that we always say right in the beginning of the year is both Susie and myself are not veterans. So we're very much connected to the veteran community as a result of years of working with this program, but we're not veterans. So we make sure that veterans really help design the program and help facilitate it and help advise it. So we make sure that this program is not only for veterans, but it's also built by and in consult with lots of veterans. So a lot of our resources, as you'll see, will be people from military affiliated offices or programs like that. Like today we just met with
let's see, the Soldier for Life with that's affiliated with the Army. So if you've heard of Soldier for Life, we met with them today. I'm in constant contact with the Mission Continues and Red, White, and Blue, Team Red, White, and Blue, and etc.
Have there been students who have been unable to finish? There have not in the 4 years or so of the program. There are students who've reported that it's tough and they don't know if they're going to be able to do it, and then they do it. And that's actually one of the biggest outcomes that I see a lot of people say is, I had no idea that I could do this, or that I could apply to a school like that, or that my life could take this direction. And because of this program, I'm now willing to try something that I thought was out of my reach. So that's really one of the great reasons that we do this. Xavier, you're president of the Student Veteran Center at Napa Valley College. It'd be great if you can present. Awesome. Feel free to also share this webinar with them, but send an email to us and we'll see if we can arrange something.
Yep, that'd be a great opportunity to help us get the word out. We find that word of mouth helps us a lot so that people hear about the program, so we can reach the most veterans as possible.
How much access to full Stanford programs, services, events, or are there limitations in terms of lectures to attend, events, networking opportunities? Yeah,
so that's a great question. So we as Summer Session try to keep a lot of Stanford programming going during the summer. So we have an intensive studies program where we invite lectures and to come speak on different topics, and those are available to everybody. We have like I said, the residential programming and the weekend excursions, and that's available to all of our students. I would say that you act as a Stanford student while you're here. You have a Stanford ID, so you have access to the gym. Alongside other Stanford students, you have access to the library, and so anything that requires a Stanford ID, you'd be able to get into.
You are a Stanford student for all intents and purposes during those 8 weeks. So anything that's happening in the summer at Stanford that students can come to, you're invited to, and you can be a part of that.
Mm-hmm. There are some offices that that do sadly tend to shut down during the summer, and so they just don't offer as many services during the summer. But we are able to work around that. It's never really been too much of an issue, yeah, we have a lot of services that still, a lot of like our offices on campus still function during the summer and are open to seeing students.
Someone asked if the 9 units completed prior, any specific courses required or recommended?
So I would say those 9 units should really be made up of core academic courses. So nothing like Intro to the University 101 plus my tennis class plus
Appreciation of music.
Sure. So we're looking for like those core general education courses or courses that are going towards your major. So a lot of students, for example, a common like first semester is like they've taken a writing class, they may have taken math class, they've taken a history class, maybe a psychology class. That's pretty common because students are exploring. They don't know what major they want yet. But you can see that they're taking core academic courses. And so that's what we're looking for to make up those 9 units. We know that students have lots of interests and they take courses prior to knowing that they want to, apply to Stanford Veteran Accelerator. So we know that students bring those different types of classes, and that's fine. But we want you to prove to us that you can take those core types of classes, and not just some of these like one unit, one-off type classes, if that makes sense. And I can clarify if I need to.
And this will have to be our last quick 3 questions. If you've been out of college for a while, are you eligible? And absolutely, you don't have to be in college right now. This program is designed to help people in their higher education program or journey continue. And if that's something that you want to do, then this could be a program for you. So.
Yep, and that letter of recommendation still will be prompted from the letter writer, so you will not actually submit the letter of recommendation on their behalf. They have to, but if that person is still someone you want to use, you can definitely still use them, even though maybe it was 2 years ago that they were your letter writer.
Oh yes, the letter of recommendation happens now.
Mm-hmm.
And then how much interaction with the tech professional communities in Palo Alto? You mentioned a Google trip. Can you talk more expansively on this?
Sure, yeah, briefly. So we have had great contacts at Google headquarters and LinkedIn. Those are the 2 that we've been able to visit in the past. And what they do at both of locations is they usually invite a panel of veterans who work at that organization to talk to the students in the program about their experiences transitioning from the military into a career. They usually have an HR representative, which is awesome because then the HR representative talks about things that they're looking for in an applicant, should you want to work at Google or LinkedIn, because they have so many jobs. You do not need to be a computer scientist to work at Google or LinkedIn. And so they're looking for all types of people, and they really are looking for people who have military skills and skills and experiences that you've gained. So they help students try to understand that. They also will review, at Google, they review your resume to give you tips on how to improve your resume so that you can translate your military skills or any other skills and experiences you've had and put it onto a resume. They also will help at LinkedIn, they help you build your LinkedIn profile, and they give you access to different resources that I didn't even know and LinkedIn even had, and they open their eyes to so much more that LinkedIn has to offer. So generally that's how the programming goes, and usually it includes a meal, which is awesome.
And students who take their own initiative to go make connections in the community have also been very successful at this. Absolutely,
yep. Because we have so much access to a lot of people, students, when they go out and they meet people on campus, they find a lot of opportunities.
And great. Officers do have undergraduate degrees. That's what makes them officers.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Xavier. And thank you very much, everybody, for coming today. We are wrapping up now, and we will send this out in a couple of days via email once we have it uploaded and sent out. So in the meantime, feel free to email us if you have questions. Visit our website.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's the best thing, is to email us to get more information, and to keep reviewing this webinar should you have questions, and share it with anybody that you think might be interested.
Wonderful. Thank you very much,
Thank
everyone.
you so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.